At Waseda University, we would like to ask Dr. Yasuhiro Daisho, who's a professor from Waseda University. Actually, he is the specialist in the field of research for the future mobility technology. For example, he has been contributing to the future transportation as well as the automotive utilization for the future. I would say that these topics are the ones that people would always come to mind when we think of our future. However, on the other hand, these mobile technology actually emit a tremendous amount of CO2 energy by utilization of fuel. So the next generation car, and by having such mobility, he would be able to share with us on how to achieve the low-carbon society led by such next-generation vehicles and advanced mobility. So now the floor is yours, Dr. Daisho. Thank you very much for the introduction. My name is Daisho from Waseda University. Well, the time is still early, but I would like to set aside time at the end of my speech for Q&A. Therefore, I would like to begin my part of the speech. I would like to thank all the sponsors and organizers for inviting me to this session. When it comes to smart mobility, and if we think of the future generation, and at the same time, there are various researches that are conducted today regarding low-carbon society and the next-generation vehicles. And I would like to now speak of what would be the view of our future of our low-carbon society. We actually do the research on the smart mobility. And we have Dr. Kamen and we have Dr. Loh today. And all those distinguished speakers today are the specialists when it comes to the city buildings and the future low-carbon city. And for me, I would like to especially focus my talk on the future generation vehicles. When it comes to the environmental measures of automobiles, there are three major approaches. The first has to do with the gasoline cars, the diesels car, and I think that the hybrid car has come to so-called a traditional means of cars today. The idea is to make cleaner air, less polluted air, and there is also a set by a fuel efficiency level. Not just here in Japan, but US and Europe is also setting necessary regulations on the emissions. However, would these cars be valid for our future? I do not think so. I think that we would need to look at more of a better technological mobile means that would surpass that of gasolines and diesel, not just for the automotives. However, for the fuels, fuel would have to be replaced with the newly developed fuels as well, such as electricity as well as electricity fuel cars. And there's also a fuel cell that is oftentimes used in cars to date. Now, when it comes to the fuel itself, I would like to wait for the presentation by Dr. Kamen. Now, the third point to be noted of, which I think that it's going to be one of the flourishing aspect or the field for our future. This is regarding the utilization of automobiles. For example, ITS as well as ICT technology. And by utilizing these technology, I think that we could make the utilization of car in a more sophisticated manner. So the lifestyle of ours would have to change in order to deal with this kind of technology. And trucks, the buses, all those would be much more efficiently managed, and the utilization of the public transportation means could also fall under this particular field. When it comes to the International Energy Agency, they publicizes the reports every year. And this is the trend of the primary energy use, especially targeting the upcoming 2 decades to 2030. It is the assumption is made that there will be additional 40% of the energy use that would require to 2030. 40% is a significant amount of energy that would be required, especially especially the emerging countries are on the rise right now. Therefore, the utilization of the primary energy is surging. And under such circumstances, the issue of the CO2 emission has also risen as a problem. 60% of gasoline is mostly used in the automobiles. Therefore, reducing the fossil fuel usage is going to become an urgent challenge for our society. So now let's look at the situation here in Japan. I actually have a private car, and when it comes to the total transportation, the CO2 from this is almost 20%, and half of it has to do with the private four-wheel drive. And therefore, because of the fact that it constitutes a huge amount of transportation means this has to be reduced. 14% comes from households. I would touch upon this later, but if you think of household utilization of energy, we would need to look at further for how to reduce the power consumption at each household. Now, it is already decided that there will be a revision made to the fuel efficiency utilization plan, meaning that the fuel efficiency would have to be improved. We use the so-called top runner method. For example, the air conditioning, the refrigerators, the automobiles that would be used at homes would be targeted, meaning that the idea is to target the highest efficiency electricity product that is utilized at home in order to reduce the utilization. And not just the gasoline, but the hybrid car has also come into this picture as well. The prior standard, when the standard was made, the planner method did not encompass the hybrid cars. However, now it's included. Now, the corporate average fuel economy, which is a CAFE standard, this is the standard that is applicable to the corporate sector, and this revision to the standard is going to achieve a higher obligation to set the target. So the 24% or so improvement would be made for FY09, and for FY15, almost 20% of improvement is deemed to be done as part of the fuel efficiency utilization. So for whatever car we are talking about, sometimes the automakers have different ways to improve its fuel efficiency. Therefore, the target is set so that each manufacturer could achieve that. So how about the plug-in hybrids and hybrid cars? At the time when this was developed, it was not part of it. However, they would be able to count this as part of the CAFE standard. Therefore, if the manufacturer, if the automaker come up with the fuel efficiency car, this would be counted as part of achieving that CAFE standard. So they try their research and technology focusing on improving on the engine technology as much as possible to achieve this target. So we are expecting highly on having a much more sophisticated engine profile for the future. And I think that Dr. Kamen would know this more so than I do, but this is the amount of the emission that would be emitted per kilometers. As you can see, in the United States, the standard has become much more stringent since Obama took office. And Japan is trying to compete with that level. In 2020, we are trying to set a more stricter target. And in Europe, 95 gram per kilometer has been set as a target, which is a very strict objective. Therefore, I think that these targets is going to become much more stricter in the future as it is today. China, as you can see, they're also trying to make it much more tighter. In case of California, they are the most advanced state in the United States of setting always of a stretch goals. But I would say that they are going to go hand in hand with the federal level of the standard as well. Now, if we look at the past track of car moving into electricity, there was a oil shock that occurred a long time ago. I don't think young people would know this, but at the time, many people started to shift these views towards electric vehicle. And oil price, once it went up, had now dropped, and there were only lead battery. Therefore, technology-wise, it was way too heavy and has to be replaced every 2-3 years. Took way too long time to be charged. And because of those challenges, the electricity cars did not penetrate at the time. But then in California, zero emission program or low emission program had addressed from California, meaning that 1 every 10 cars would have to achieve that. Otherwise, it would be penalized by $5,000. So, therefore, the general consumers was not able to accept that kind of settings when it comes to the EV cars. So that was the situation in the United States in order to set a stricter target for the ZEV. Now, the motors, batteries, device, as well as electronic control system and hybrids, and all those have started to be explored at the time. In case of Japan, the technology has been looked into, and in 2009, finally, Mitsubishi had came up with the car called iMEV. It's an EV car, and Prius, back in 1997, had appeared in the market. And the fuel cell is one of the major topics recently, and I would like to talk of that later again. So the EV cars, the plug-in hybrids. When it comes to the plug-in hybrids, it's a hybrid type of the car that can be charged from an external station. So once it's run out of the battery, they would be able to switch to gasoline. So 100 kilometers or 200 kilometers, that might be of the maximum length of travel when it comes to plug-in hybrid. Otherwise, it has to switch to the gasoline. But the plug-in hybrid, since it's hybrid with the gasolines, this car would be able to travel long distance. In 2009 is the year that people would say that it's an EV year, because this was the first time the mass production of the EV came to the market, and it's containing the lithium battery. And when the battery is charged overnight, the cost would be far less and less CO2 emission. Nuclear power plant is stopping its operation in Japan, and nuclear power plant does not emit CO2. Therefore, by stoppage of those nuclear power plants, I wonder how far these automobiles would penetrate in Japan. However, we do need to also look into the alternative technology. At home, they could charge the car overnight, meaning that 7 hours would make the battery full. But the high-speed charging, especially during daytime when the battery runs out, they would be able to do that in 30 minutes for full charge. Therefore, having the inverter operating the motors and each cells could be monitored so that the track record of such electronic devices could be done in a timely manner. However, with all these parts in place, engine cars still have more parts utilized. 20 to 30% of the parts could be reduced by making the EV cars. So I think that the component would be simplified. This is the Leaf that came in 2010. Leaf is one size larger than iMEV, and they carry the lithium-ion battery, and the laminated flat cell is installed on Leaf. Carlos Ghosn from Nissan, according to his announcement, their intention to manufacture 250,000 Leaf, both in Japan as well as abroad, in order to market this car. Now, one major focus I have here is the battery. When the battery starts to be depleted, people would start to worry. And this is one of the major reasons that is oftentimes pointed out by EVs. Therefore, what Nissan has done is that Nissan had utilized on information technology so that on the monitor of the car, it tells the driver how much distance could this car survive, and at the same time be able to make the reservations on the charger stations in order to accommodate and replenish the charging batteries. Now, when it comes to the hybrid, I think you all know that there are Prius, and there's Insider, and hybrid cars consist of various types. As you can see on top left, this is so-called a parallel hybrid, just one motor, and it's connected with the engine or disconnected with the engine, and therefore it harmonizes when the driving is done. It's very simple in terms of configuration. But if you look at bottom right, this is the parallel, and the series type is combined. This is so-called a strong hybrid, as is represented by Prius. So this is another configuration. Now, the third type, although there aren't many cases, but this is a series type. Earlier, I have shown you Chevrolet, which is made by GM. GM Volt. I would say that this is more like a series hybrid. The engine is connected to the power generator, and it's only used to generate power and not for the drive. And then put it through this battery to drive the car. One interesting aspect is that the plug-in system could always be put in place. As you can see, there is a plug for all these configurations, meaning that the plug could be connected to the outside charger outlet. Therefore, the EV potential is accommodated to all these configurations. Therefore, it gives some of the possibility and potential to be able to utilize that outside power. If the fuel efficiency in this kind of configuration improves, then it would be driven 2 times longer than the gasoline cars. And this is a Toyota vehicle.
plug-in hybrid.
A plug-in hybrid, their schedule is to sell 50,000 units for this year, and small EV, very cute one, will be released. And the fuel cell vehicle launch is targeted at 2015, and the unit price is likely to become about 5 million yen. And love for EV, there is a venture business in the US called Tesla Motors, and 4 billion yen has been invested by Toyota. And then they announced that they're going to develop Lava EV with Tesla Motors. And this is the plug-in hybrid of Toyota. The lithium-ion battery is mounted, and it can go about 26 kilometers per charge. So 26 kilometers, well, normally if you're commuting to your office, if it's 26 kilometers, it's the distance between your office and your house, and then you don't need to use your engine. And one of the characteristics is that you can charge during the night. And Honda is going to launch EV and plug-in hybrid this year. And you know about the model called Fit very well, and then there will be an EV version of Fit with lithium-ion battery. And then the plug-in hybrid at the bottom is called modeled based on Inspire, and then they are now doing a lot of testing, and they are to launch this model sometime this year. Let's look at Europe. In the street, you would like to drive a very small, nice, short distance car, and that's proposed in Europe. And in an urban living style, this could be quite useful. It is called E-Up, and it's the smallest model from Volkswagen. And then Renault, Nissan, Daimler, they jointly are developing the vehicle for the town streets that you can drive for short distance for shopping and for commuting. Another thing I would like to show you is that the governors of prefectures got together to come up with some ideas. And there is an organization called Governors Association for the Development of the Senior-Friendly Car. And their proposal is that you can have a 60 kilometers per charge with the maximum speed of 60 kilometers per hour with the weight of 600 kilogram. And then Ministry of Land Infrastructure and Transport doesn't really have any standards for this type of vehicle. It is like a motorized bicycle. And then in Europe, in the US, they have a category called low-speed vehicles, very convenient vehicle. Whether Japan is ready to accept this type of vehicle or not needs to be decided after they've determined the safety of the vehicle. And then some automakers have made a proposal for the two-seater low-speed EV, Q concept from Suzuki, Pico from Daihatsu, and Nissan New Mobility concept. These models are for short distance and at low speed. This is related to our university. We've been talking about passenger vehicles, but if you think about the public transportation, we realized that if you shift towards electric vehicles for transportation, public transportation, you can reduce the carbon emission. So with Professor Kamiya, we are working on the small bus, and then you have a primary coil, and then at the floor of the bus you can have a secondary coil, and then when it approaches to the terminal, then the bus can be charged without contact. So it would be very convenient in terms of operating the bus. If it has to be connected to with the plug, the driver will have to go through a lot of onerous work. Therefore, we are looking for the non-contact rapid charging method and automatic method. And currently, the Nagano Prefecture is implementing a 3-year test for this system. Nara, Sakai, Kashiwa, those cities have also done the tests, and these tests are done with the support from the Ministry of Environment. In the rural and regional cities, public transportation system is less utilized, and by developing this kind of vehicle, this is a very low vibrate and very quiet car which can be very friendly to senior citizens. And this could enhance the public mobility in the regional cities, and by introducing the demand transportation system using the mobile phone. And this is about personal mobility. You can walk, as a means of personal mobility, but senior citizens can utilize these vehicles for one person. And in various settings of your lifestyle, these vehicles can be utilized. And I talked about the charging and the vehicles. So you connect the plug. And the important thing is that this has to be standardized so that you have a consistency across the infrastructure. And for this aim, the CHAdeMO Association has been established and system is being developed. The ones that we are showing here are the ones in the initial stage, but these quick chargers, some companies are developing the ones that are variable less than 1 million yen. And this information about these systems and the location of these systems can be shared utilizing the communication system so that drivers can readily know which is the closest charging station. So the electrification of the vehicles are progressing, and then it would improve the fuel economy. Having said that, the important technologies cost us a lot of money. Therefore, the standardization and the mass production is very important. So while the Obama and under the Obama administration, they are trying to have a stringent fuel efficiency, and one of their focus point is the payback period. And you cannot set a very high price because that would impact the sales of the vehicles negatively, and that would lead to the loss of employment. So it's like a chicken and egg relationship. So, but the increased fuel economy would increase the cost as well.
In between 2020 to 2030, this graphical chart indicates the actual emission. If the gasoline car is set to be 100, in that case, the gasoline engine efficiency is going to naturally reduce its emission by 20% or so. And the CO2 would be emitted less because of the fuel combustion would be lesser. Therefore, I think that technology could make the CO2 emission half from what it is now. And if the electronic vehicle comes in place, in that case it would be even less, and bio or new energy sources could be fully utilized in order to reduce the CO2 emission in the air. So in order to achieve the penetration of electronic vehicles, government had set this designated city for the EV and PHV town. This is set by MITI. So the plug-in hybrids as well as electronic vehicles, this gives the idea of how much support that MITI is intending to do. So there will be 2 million or so outlets that would have the charging capabilities, including households. So that's the number nationwide that they're trying to achieve. And also there will be 5,000 or so outlets that would enable the high-speed charging as well. With that, I think information technology would give us a better convenient living. Now let me talk a little bit about the hybrids, including EVs, solar, wind power, utilization of all those energy sources. The electricity could be much more greener. It's going to be a diversified utilization of power sources. Therefore, from the powerhouse, I think that the ICT could help us manage a better distribution of such energy with low carbon emission. And I think that this technology could enable us to do that. Dr. Sato, I'm sure, is going to talk further of this in a later presentation. But EVs, plug-in hybrids, I would say as an energy source, renewable energies could be utilized for the future possibility. Together with that, the smart grid demonstration is currently ongoing, which is the next generation committee, which is set by the government. So the Japanese type of the smart grid is one of the major focus here. When it comes to the smart grid, I'm sure that Dr. Kamen is going to also talk of this as to which Obama administration is doing, because the administration had actually proposed on this first, and we are intending to establish the Japan version of smart grid here. I used to live in United States myself, but I've noticed that they have quite often power outages. Therefore, that would have that in a way is the weak point there. Therefore, the ICT would help to overcome that problem. In case of Japan, Japan have had the very sturdy power grids that withstand various disasters. But the idea is to utilize more on the renewable energy as part of the smart grid sources. So here in Japan, more than 100 billion yen amount of budget is set for that. And the cities targeted would be Yokohama, Toyota, as well as Keihanna, Academic City, and Kita Kyushu. And all those 4 locations would be the focus in setting smart meters or EVs, plug-in hybrids, to be penetrated. During this time, we experience the great earthquake and tsunami recently. Therefore, there could be a situation where the infrastructure may have to be revisited, as well as the various energy utilization has to be revisited together with the infrastructure aspect. And at the same time, from medium to long term, the community-based EMS would become important. EMS stands for Energy Management System. And this is going to become a pertinent issue, especially from this point onwards, because this would enable to reduce the electricity loads and also to utilize and consume energy at the local basis. And this issue is not limited to here in Japan. This standardized technology has to be penetrated globally. So this is one of the major strengths that Japan could encroach into the global market, and I would say that this could be the source of business from Japan. This is the master plan that's planned in Yokohama. As you can see, it is connecting 3 different sites, and Smart City Management Center manages the entire energy use. Minato Mirai 21, that's one area which is the largest. There's a lot of office high-rises, and there's other commercial high-rises as well, together with the residential tower houses. Together with that, there's also a Green Valley area and Kohoku New Town area as well. All these 3 locations would be connected. These cities exist already, and the idea is to lay the network, as you can see on this photo. Creating new town and doing the smart grid in that newly built town would be easy. However, these towns here already existing. Therefore, this attempt is to utilize the smart energy and smart city connections to the existing town. Meidensha, Accenture, Panasonic, and Nissan, Toshiba, all those companies are the ones that would collaborate to achieve this. So half of the 100 billion yen budget is going to be spent here in this Yokohama region. 27,000 kilowatt of solar power, and for 4,000 households, smart house, smart meters would be set, and 2,000 EV would be brought into this region. When it comes to the EV leaf, which I have just noted of, this was developed to supply electricity from that car to households. It contains 24 kilowatt per hour battery. Therefore, in an emergency situation, the car could supply electricity. For example, if there are disaster and power outage occurs in households, for 2 days or so, the car could provide power. In average, it would last for 48 hours or so. For 500 wattage or so, the power would help the household to survive for at least 2 days. And also, if the power is generated from the solar panels, that can be utilized for the charging system as well. And in Aichi Prefecture, in Toyota City, there's also a smart grid proposal, which is a home community type of smart grid. What this means is that within Toyota City in Aichi Prefecture, the utilization of electricity at home as well as in public transport, including automobiles, those would all be managed as an energy utilization so that they could optimize the use of energy. So in various tiny areas, the development of this smart energy utilization would be advanced. Toyota City, Chubu, Powerhouse, Sharp, Fujitsu, etc., all those would collaborate to achieve this plan. What they're trying to target is that the city could become a model city, because there are a lot of medium-sized cities like this all over Japan. Therefore, the idea is to set the success case scenario here to replicate it in various other cities and hopefully outside of Japan as well. So I'm hoping that this would become the representing city for the future. When it comes to nation-led project, they're very good at exhausting money for one location. But if the money is gone in several years' time, then there will be no budget that will be given from that point on. However, that's not going to be sustainable. So this would have to be horizontally implemented throughout Japan. And by doing so, the cost could go down, because the initial investment would be expensive. However, there would be a lot of knowledge that we could accumulate from that experience. Therefore, it would be a simple matter of replication from that point on, from the second city on. And Toyota Home actually connected home and the smart technology. As you can see here, this is one of the projects that Toyota Home is doing. This is to target the complete smart house construction. So various powers, electricity, solar powers, etc. In this case scenario, they also utilizes the LED charging cells as well. And the plug-in hybrid would also support the power supply for homes. So this is intending to take place from this year at Toyota Smart Center. So the data that comes from home would be tracked and calculates the energy utilization at home. And by understanding the trend of the consumption of energy, this would give a very good idea of how to utilize that. The smartphones, plug-in hybrids, and EcoCute solar panels, and all those types of technology would be utilized to achieve that. So it's going to be more like a comprehensive way of managing smart house. We call that HEMS, HEMS, Home Energy Management System. Of course, this uses ICT, but advancement in this field is very much highly expected. Another point to be noted of is the smart meter, as you can see here, which is more like a next generation electricity type. And there are various devices that's used at home. For example, air conditioning system, electronically operated laundry machines. And this would give us the idea as to how the power is utilized. By understanding that, this would lead to energy conservation, and people living in the house would be able to know how much energy that they've conserved. So by managing this energy from a comprehensive perspective, we call this the conservation of energy and the saving of energy, and at the same time be able to reduce the peak utilization and consumption of power, especially summertime. So this is something that can be done at each household level, and with this in place, the stable power supply could be achieved nationwide. So this is a reiteration, but there are various business models. For example, car sharing, rental car utilization, and those cars could be replaced into EVs. or energy charging, battery charging, and sales, and by setting various charging stations on public area or the private car parks. And I think that this kind of technology would penetrate throughout the nation. Now, when it comes to the home energy management system and the smart house that also accommodates the smart meters, I think that this is going to be a big hit. We call it smartphones, and we utilize the smart homes, and we call that in short sumaho, and the smart house in short we can call it sumaha. And I think that this word is going to be a hit. And the standardization committee is set as a ministry, and one declaration came out as a result from that. The homemakers, home appliance manufacturers, IT companies, automotive companies, 680 companies actually have involved and agreed on the standardization of smart meter utilization. I think that is an epoch-making event. So with this standardization in place, we could target this international standardization as well. Say the air condition is from company A, EV is from company B, but the idea of this standard is to set the standardized cross-border standardization so that all the electronic devices could be set on the same standard. So EV charging and the home electricity can be used for that. And not only for the electricities, I think that the smart system could be introduced to the gas area as well. So such comprehensive configuration of utilization of the smart meter would enable us to upgrade our IT technology use. And the solar power would help supplement the additional power source as well. And the important factor is disconnected by the internet, meaning that the community management can be made. The smart grids, and when it comes to smart community and smart city, and all those words are floating here and there recently. However, this is still very vague, meaning that who's investing and who's benefiting, and that kind of relationship is not clearly seen. But when it comes to the smart house, it's very specific. All the different fields from different industries could be involved, and it gives a clear visualization of what's happening. So I think that the smart house would come, and then this would lead to the smart community and the smart city. We don't have to rush there, I think. And if I ask this question to the homemakers, the manufacturer says that they are going to focus on the smart house manufacturing. So even if we say smart house, usually the house would have to be renovated every 30-40 years. So I don't think it's going to drastically change. So I think that not only for the newly built homes, but I think that the existing housing should accommodate smart meters and smart technology. So I'm hoping that this technology would be penetrated further. With existing homes, sometimes there are a lot of homes that is less insulated, where it creates a lot of power leakage. So the existing home insulation should also be done together with the smart technology introduction to the existing homes as well. So the peak consumption reduction of electricity and the total amount of energy consumption has to be cut from home level. And CO2 emission is constituting 14% of the total consumption or emission of CO2. Therefore, by working on its housing levels, I think that this number could drop. And when it comes to IT or ICT, I think that there are three different I's. When it comes to ITS, this I stands for ITSI. It's an information transportation system. This actually enhances the flow of transportation, and sometimes restrict on congested transportation, and also replacement of the mobile means. It's called the modal shift. And also expand the introduction of the new fuel type cars as well as new generation cars. And ITS is used to enhance that. But at the very beginning, like I've mentioned, there are three different approaches in utilization of car. And I think that the importance of that would have to be focused one more time, meaning that this is the eco drive, and I would say that this would all, car sharing, etc., would all be related to ICT and IT utilization. I would like you to visit the ITS website. This is to connect people, car, and road with the cutting-edge information communication technology in order to achieve the mobility society which is safe and environment friendly. And recently, especially for natural disasters, the system would be able to withstand such disaster situations as well. I think you're using car navigation system or ETC systems, and at the same time, safe drive support, I'm sure, is going to further be utilized. And I think that the ITS is going to take a tremendous important role even in the public transportation management system as well, and the road infrastructure. I would say that one of the major focus to achieve the sophistication there would be IT.
I do not intend to advertise Honda's product, but there is a very advanced navigation system jointly developed with Pioneer. It's called Probe Car. A Probe Car is the vehicle that location and other types of data will be sent to the center, information center, so that the center can capture where the members are driving, which would help them understand the traffic congestion, and the driver can get benefit from that information and avoid the traffic congestion, and that would lead to the improvement of the fuel efficiency and also shorten the time to get to the destination. So this internav route is presented to the driver, and this is very convenient technology, and whether or not driving in an eco-friendly manner or not can be advised by this vehicle as well. So, even if you say, oh, we have to be eco-friendly, you don't know how to drive and at the same time being eco-friendly, but this vehicle can tell you that whether you are eco-friendly driver or not. So the safety, environment, and the conveniences are supported by the information ICT. And this will see a further advancement in the future. So there was the Great East Japan earthquake, which cost many lives, and houses are swept away by tsunami. And which made me really sad was that I saw the footage showing all the vehicles swept away by tsunami, and it was really hurt. And then Google released the Google crisis map. The Google crisis response map shows the situation of the traffic, and if there are usable roads, streets still drivable or not, it can be presented, and whether there is a traffic jam can be also presented. And Honda, Pioneer, Toyota all sort of helping this to be available, so that this can be utilized to figure out how best you can deliver the supplies and how the individuals can move in efficient manner. Later I will mention about the cloud technology, but this ICT is so useful, and this is one of the examples to show that. And then ITS can automate the operation of the vehicles. I am part of this project, but let's say on the expressway, if you let the truck driven automatically, that would improve the fuel efficiency. And Toyota Motors and Microsoft have agreed a strategic agreement to build the global cloud platform. So the ICT based on the internet will be further used for the vehicles. Another thing I would like to mention is that in addition to these services, Salesforce.com is one of the famous SNS, and Toyota is also partnering with this company, and then through this SNS they are going to build the Toyota Friend service to link the manufacturers, user, and sales dealers, and this kind of platform will dare to expand. In 2012, at the beginning of the year, there was an international exhibition for the home appliances in the US, and the American and European automakers displaying their vehicles, saying that drivers can use smartphones and Google and Facebook. And we never thought about connecting home appliances and vehicles, but you can install the information system in advanced manner in the vehicle, and this is very interesting. And Audi from Germany, and the Chrysler, and also Daimler, and Ford, GM, they are all offering these services. Their aim is to get closer to the young generation. This generation is so skilled with the information devices, and then less younger people are driving nowadays. Therefore, the automakers are trying to connect driving and information, driving and ICT, by bringing in more advanced technology. This is an additional slide I inserted after I gave the secretariat my presentation, but using the ITS, a smart eco car and mobility will improve going forward, and then next stage is smart house, and that would lead to smart community, and then finally smart city. If you look at the contents, you can see HEMS, BEMS, and SEMS. So the ICT infrastructure is developed, and this smart grid would enhance the utilization of the efficiency of the electricity usage. This is just a picture that I thought I would like to show you. Here's a smart house with HEMS and smart meter. You can see the solar panels. And from this smart house, actually, it delivered something new. And then smart combini is, if you take out the fridge from the smart house, that would become a smart convenience store. And then the fixed landline phone can be brought out from the house to become a smartphone. And next generation smart eco car actually used to be a room, but now smart eco can serve as a room. And smart eco car and smartphone can exchange information, perhaps applications, and smart house can develop into smart community that will lead to smart city. But what we have to focus is not, I'm not saying about Twitter, but the drivers have to be smart as well. the environment, energy issues. These are the things that we need to pay more attention to be more rationalized lifestyle, to have a smart life. I want to take some questions. I'd like to run the rest of the slides very quickly. With regard to the future for the electric vehicles, it's very quiet, it's very easy to drive, so there are many strengths. But as I mentioned earlier, there was a nuclear power plant accident. So concerning the fact that CO2 reduction is not so effectively done, we have to keep that in mind. But we can use the EV conveniently for the short distance traveling, and with ICT we can increase the convenience further. And then we can expect the new industries to emerge, and it would increase the more opportunities for renewable energies to be utilized. Inspection and maintenance and repair. These maintenance services need to be established. ICT once again can have a role to play. Now, I would also like to talk about the situation in other countries. In 2020, by 2020, France target 2 million as a number of the EV, and Germany 1 million. Professor Kamen earlier was telling me that in California, they are targeting 1 million units by 2015. And considering that's for the one state, it's a very ambitious target. So what we would like to envisage is that maybe by 2015, maybe by 2020, maybe 1 out of 10 units can be EV. In a general, in the next generations, electric vehicles would include hybrid and fuel cell vehicle and electric vehicles. Maybe 2030, the house auto manufacturers say that they can increase the ratio by 2030, but with the help from the national government, central government, maybe we can target 10% out of all the vehicles to become EV by 2020. It is very important to utilize all types of energies when we think about mobility. And so that was that slide. And finally, I'd just like to touch upon the hydrogen. At my class, we are working on the fuel cell vehicle with hydrogen. And then W stands for Waseda's W. And it's very, fuel economy is very good. And then there are other hybrid cars being developed as well. By 2015, we will have a fuel cell vehicles. There will be 4 locations equipped with the major infrastructure for the fuel cell vehicles. But the future is still unclear because the source of the hydrogen, the method of hydrogen generation is yet to be determined, but highly efficiency system is to be placed. With regard to fuel cell vehicle, 2015 is the target for the energy supplier, auto supplier, and the government's target to spread the fuel cell vehicles to ordinary users. And this is the last slide. In 2050, maybe transportation sector will see a 80% reduction in carbon emission. By building up each and every measure that I mentioned in previous slides, by consolidating all the technologies, combining all the technologies available in Japan, I think that's doable. but that would require the collaboration between the government, business, and academia. And then strategically, we have to also think about how we can contribute to the international society. And there are young students here, and 2050 is 40 years from now, and you will be seeing a mandatory retirement year in 2050, but I will be in heaven watching you trying to reduce and struggling to reduce the carbon emission. The Energy Environment Conference is to publish the energy strategy and policy very soon, and I have a great interest in that. Thank you.